Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Last episode, we did a bit of the trial former of Officer Meekins. In this episode, we're going to be heading towards the trial ladder. And hopefully we get to question Officer Marshall, so let's get started. This court will now reconvene the trial, Miss Lana Sky. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner. I'm just the same as you, wandering trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly crossing intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know. You're a patrolman. As for my name, you can listen to the hard enough while you're hearing a howling wind calling out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, your honor. Howling wind? I never heard Edward described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You're in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sand. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get this on quickly. Please share with us the testimony of the day of the crime in plain old English. My job was to keep a worried eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but I ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man. If you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. I can't say particularly care for your attitude. I can't say for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon every cowpoke like you should knows about those. Yes, well, the fingerprint activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint activated locks? What kind of doohickey are those? There's something up here. Witnesses out, I am a sky. Demon investigators Gant, Lana Sky, and investigator Goodman, Marshall, Angel Star. Okay, there's something that's been bothering me about the security footage. Let's go. All right, let's rewind. Okay, we can't rewind. Dang it! I guess I'll have to look at the footage. This is important. This is very important. Because I noticed something on that locker over there. Yeah, this thing right here. So, we're going to have to wait a bit, 20 more seconds to see. Okay, he's going to open the locker. Glove comes out. And Officer Meekins is going to come in from behind. Try to hit him. Tries to fight Goodman. Goodman brings out the knife. Boom. Okay. Nothing happened there. And Officer Meekins is down. We don't see Goodman anywhere. And that one last thing. Right here. What is that? He must have appeared. I'm gonna put that up soon, but he's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines or is following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. How exactly do you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitors. That room's so still. Even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You interred them? Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are being erased every 6 hours. Each time I erased a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy has a flair for the dramatic, but isn't going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. When you made rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you it ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know join the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime? Just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. Oh, that is full of shit, by the way. There was a rubber glove in the victim's socket. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner. Can't say I do. I haven't been that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? Besides, are protected by security cameras anyway. Systems anyway. You used to be a detective, so you used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence. And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism. Sorry, partner, I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite incredible. The sensors indicate the locker handles cannot be seen. Well, it's known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that you mention it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that. Anyway, it doesn't seem like this is irrelevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? If I remember right, I was a street side saloon at the time it went down. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Not even Angel steak lunches can beat the parlor's Vangor sepia pasta. You mean to tell us you bend your police duties to eat some noodles? Where's your alibi? Not at all. All desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. Hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edric says, "Did you not want to raise this year?" I'm just an innocent traveling man. If you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner. Or else you call it evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. The steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to see anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently, your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I better up the ante. Time to bring out the trump card. Your fingerprints. Yeah, no doubt for sure you were in the evidence room. Objection! Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd that you being called to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime, and yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene, or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, to make rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what is the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene? The blood was wiped away. However, Illumino tests clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the blood-stained fingerprints? Very well, you may begin your testimony about the fingerprints. Not the scene of the crime. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be on the evidence room. One of them just happened to be in the same place as the same blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker my fingerprint was by chance. The blood-stained fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or did you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. I'm not the victim here. He was the victim. This explanation appears valid. Although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may not cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something. I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Ooh, sorry guys, my voice hurts right now. That's because how did you put it? Pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happened to be mine. What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective, the locker I still use. All that in there now is a whole heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using fingerprint lockers all this time without ever knowing it. So then what about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine, it's no mystery. He's explained. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. It just so happened. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that are not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me from a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? What do you mean they're unrelated? Unrelated? They're as different as night and day. Kinda like a cereal and a cereal. Not the cereal. One's gotta do breakfast while the other's a type of murder. He's right, although it seems even alike, they're totally different. I don't see what hononyms have anything to do with this. How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still might do my job. I keep up on other reports. There was a blood stain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint? That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This sea of blood? In the desert, it's just food for the buzzards. There's only one thing in reality, and that's this. Security tape. As long as my trail isn't there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Oh, to continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right, partner? What do you mean by that? You want me to tie it to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to you, so it's full of blind spots. Blind spot? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape.
Objection!
We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, you could show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present. Do so now. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making a mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Please show us this incriminating evidence of Officer Jake Moore. Okay, I know I know what it is. I just gotta fast forward it and pause it. And I gotta pause the very last moment. Yep, right here.
Take that!
Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, so are our tempers. Can you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now let's rewind the video a bit. 3. Okay, how many seconds? "11 seconds! Oh, the white cloth is gone. Okay, so within those 11 seconds, he would have to open up his locker and murder the fake Goodman. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? The crime took place. The white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. Only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, when you opened your locker when the camera was turned away... Order! Order! It would seem that that's the only... Hold your horses. Sorry, partner. You only got the wrong man. So what if my locker was open? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something. He opened the locker to suck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just plain dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person you can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say open that locker and I'll prove it. Your fucking fingerprints are on there. Sure, goddamn fingerprints! You can talk all the talk, alright, but you got a long ways to go before you can walk the walk. Mr. Wright, even I can prove this one. What? Really? Sorry, Your Honor, if that's Officer Marshall's locker, then only you can open it. I should know this. Come on, partner. Only a revolver holds 5 bullets. The question is, how many you got left? So I open that lock and I'll prove it. Only a sign detected prints can indicate a lamps up light when it's open. This, I guess? Oh yeah, I've been wondering, what is this unstable jar? That's what I want to figure out. This has been there, but like, we don't know what's that been used for, so I'm guessing that'll be used something. A fingerprint sensor. We talked about this earlier today. Lockers can be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. But in any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! Order! Witness, explain yourself! If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you, this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you're doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Olay, please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure out the rest from here. We can? Let's have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. So then, where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right, only possible conclusion. Where would he have been? The camera would point right here. Where would he have hid? Wait. No. You've got to be kidding me. They did mention something, the victim disappeared. So... no. It couldn't have. But... if that were true, then it makes a lot of sense. You're the victim?
Take that!
Officer Marshall was standing right here. Yeah, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. He's the victim. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins, the detective at the crime scene. He saw the man's face, he know for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman? He also testified about when the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes. And how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. Answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you see, Detective Goodman's picture's on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Detective Marshall? Officer Marshall? You got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break the detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dress up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall's dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I could see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems like you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. Ugh, this can't be happening. So all obvious he's the one, but what can I do? Looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what has been told me when I was just starting out. When you wanted to know no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather, I should look for evidence that came about when he was in disguise. Because why do you think the locker was open in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might discover later has it been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument. Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goom at the time of the crime. Then after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that. He opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, but so do my videos my only shot. Well, let's take another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker room to put away the light cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. Wait a second. I think I realized something. What do you need to do with white cloth? To wipe off blood, right? Correct? So, So I'm gonna keep looking at this video. What? Wait. Pause right there. Okay, now I see it. Wait, when did he get that blood stain? Wait. I'm gonna pause it right there. For some reason, you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman. Enter the evidence room, though I don't know what end. Yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. And when asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked. And the white cloth you were wearing was solid oiled with blood. Coat. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that. So you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall. Are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only as half as persistent you are today, then we all wouldn't have to be here now, wouldn't we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did, all of it. Alright, it seems the time has come. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID card and dressed like him, and I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins, and I knocked him out. I managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. I I guess he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation.
Hold it!
You say you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years ago, I've been passed since the case was closed. It was going to completely end the transferal that day. Ah, do you really want it to not want it to end? Not if I have anything to do with it. The incident's not over. What did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case leads the detective can look through the evidence. I want to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner, that case was mine. Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation, so why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance, that's why I...
Hold it!
Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? I didn't make it look like the Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal. I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. The detective's ID card? I stole that in the morning of the incident. So that really was why Detective Goodman started finding that lost item report. I returned his ID card and left it on the floor in the prosecutor's parking. Ah, that makes a lot of sense. The ID card I found was left by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean, the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you would be able to open that locker yourself. But you could have a rubber glove just happened to get stuck on the door. And that means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins, I knocked him out.
Hold it!
You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins to try to drive him up? Just say it was a little surprise. I only plan on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a one-in-a-million type person. Is seeking a detective for entry and demanding to be shown his ID? I have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Sorry, guys. I'm stretching. Anyway, he threw himself at me and ended up cutting himself slightly. Sorry, it had to turn out that way. With me knocking him down and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. He's admitting he pulled that knife on him. So you knocked Officer Meekins out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera.
Hold it!
So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference though. Security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat and your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I'll open my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. You're saying is on that day. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates the crime took place. What, are you blind? The victim shown on the tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker? Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened that locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edra, where's that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Who has it? Detective Goodsman's locker was already empty. Okay, if we had to make some assumptions, the people who are involved in that case, Lana Sky, Emma Sky, the people who know about SO9 must know Joe Darkey, crime sentence, death. Victims, 6 victims. Edgeworth, Lana Sky, Emma Sky. Then there's Angel Star, Jake Marshall, Bruce Goodman, Gant. I'm still suspicious of what Gant is. Gant must know something. Because he could be hiding something, and I don't know what. Or I could just be, like, imagining things. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a single cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. Even hurting an officer? Huh? At that cost? The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I just can't forget the SO9 incident. You know why? Why? The case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joel Darkey was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure, he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joel Darkey case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something that went down at the trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him what his real reason is? Had a feeling we wind up sooner or later. Everyone involved here isn't related some way to that case. I better take another look at the files. I think what I'm gonna do, I have to present on that last statement. I might as well. Let's get some info out of this. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SO9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SO9 incident file here. Name Marshall is mentioned in here. In a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall, are you related to... Oh, I didn't realize I didn't look at the victims' names. Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you heard that name 2 years ago. You received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? You must be talking about the King of Prosecutors award that Edgeworth got. I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SO9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed, and the case fell into your hands. What's his relation to you? He was my brother. Pepe Hens? He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, the deputy chief of police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. What the? Joe Darkey. Jesus, he has a serial killing look on his eyes. My brother fought Darkey and was killed. It's the first time Darkey left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed, at least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Darkey. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. That's it. That's your reason for your insane actions. There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter what you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. You know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime? That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with his resolution, Officer Marshall did plan to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman when he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him and rendered him unconscious and fled. This mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. But it doesn't change Lana's sky. Yeah, but things happen by chance and never cease to amaze. Exactly at the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance. It's gotta be more than just that. If no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Scott. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There will yet to be remain the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me, this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murderer took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Sky. The testimony of Miss Angel Star is completely incontestable. You have a response? Make it a single word or less. Urgh. I rest my case. Even the trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I heard and proved today is true. Apparent murder of security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Yeah, so no matter how you think about it, Lana is still guilty, even after all this time. No, then the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant. Hold it! What? Emma Sky? Your Honor, wait! Emma, the defense has an objection, a scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? In a sense? Yes, Your Honor. I'm asking for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was kind of in shock. I mean, find out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Darkey killings? Now that you mention it. Names of both Sky sisters were in that file. That's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprints had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. I mean, the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. There's no fingerprints were found, but no fingerprints were found on it, right? But I figured it... If I examined it scientifically, I was sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. That's what you did? So you did find something. No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad, I'm just a high school student. I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. Can't find something wrong with him. Please, Mr. Wright. You're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to that incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears that the defense is troubled by the other blood's mark. Looking at him at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be more of use, but still, if you can find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If I needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint of Gumshoe's Gumshoe's locker? Could be something I'm missing? I object.
Objection!
This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You're staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there any problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something has been drawn on there? Something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. I was afraid the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. All this evidence here, there's gotta be something I can use. Question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? Pool of blood. Bloody handprint. Bloody handprint. Fuck! Oh no. Could this have... I want to believe that this has something to do with this jar. Fuck, I'm getting kind of lost now. Oh yeah, I remember this thing. Oh yeah, I remember this thing was still here. I've been wondering, why was that there during the video footage? So, let's might as well. What about that piece of plywood? The blue badger mascot for the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Look at the floor plans at the crime scene. The blue badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? Gah! That's right, so long as the blue badger's dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint on the spot in the locker. What? So that means, just what exactly does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood tracer on you found on that locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? After you put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood... Wait a second. Was this before? Okay. I know this is a theory of mine. Okay. It has to be within this time period. Okay, let's say Mike Meekins put the blue badger thing at 450. Something happened between 420 and 440. Whoever this 777 ID card was, this has gotta be suspicious. Was left there before the blue badger was brought in. Just one moment, I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor. It's the only possible explanation. On February 21st in the police department evidence room, blood was spilled not once but twice. But how. One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, for which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time... someone bled prior to the struggle had been shown on his tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he really was murdered.
Objection!
Wait, are you saying... Oh, that would make a lot of sense. Because, okay, what he's saying is true. The autopsy report. He died within an hour and a half. Okay, he got stabbed at 4 p.m. In that 1 hour and a half time frame, it went towards, you know... Oh no. Oh no. Was he... No way. No way. It was a setup! For Lana, it was a setup! I think Officer Goodman was already dead. He had 1.5 hours. Okay, this was placed in the parking lot. Okay, let's hear. That's ridiculous. I refuse to believe accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security has been proven a fake. However, that doesn't explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When the ID did the first incident occurred. Summarize the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was supposedly a Detective Goodman, another incident took place in the evidence room. That's right, the blood mark in the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur, as Mr. Edgeworth said? Proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? We're bringing this up. Crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have to enter it. In order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh! The ID card record! Officer Meekins bought the Blue Badger panel in the evidence room. Let's see here, 4:50 p.m. The crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:04 p.m. Oh! Oh! Miles Edgeworth! Just what have you done? I never figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope. I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test there was blood there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood is from the first crime that was wiped away by the real murderer. Then I would have just 10 minutes to murder the victim and carry his body away. Then Officer Meek and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's take a look at the chart again. It's one other card remaining. It's 7777777. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered it along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777. Mr. Edgeworth, take a look if he's looking to see ASAP, whose ID number is blah 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 blah. That's only 1 7 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of the ID card, at least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID cover number of the 777 is a captain or... It's Gant. It's gotta be Gant. It has to be Gant. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. You don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
Objection!
But that's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There's one situation in which you can be granted such authority. An official charge filed against an executive is accepted. Official charge? Y'all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor office operates.
Objection!
I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask you a question. Yes. No, not to you, to her. The defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana?
Objection!
Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number. It's not 777-7777. Don't play for me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I know is one thing about that incident. The SO9 incident. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt that the powerlessness of the law, at least I did. Lana, I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. Before I realized it, we were once being suppressed by the law. Defendant, what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look with me and investigating that crime in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't! I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. See? That's what I'm talking about. No! Order! 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 Lana's remarks has caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom cannot be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Oh my god. Fuck. Gant! Gant must know something. He's the last person involved with the SO9 incident. He has to know something. But the problem is what? Okay. I guess that'll be it for today's episode. So next time on Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, I guess we're gonna be doing another investigation. I guess I'll see you guys all next time.